The rain came down that night like the city had finally given up holding its grief. It fell hard against cracked sidewalks and rusted bus stops, soaked cardboard shelters, and washed neon lights into trembling reflections on the asphalt. Most people hurried home, collars up, eyes down, minds sealed shut. But not everyone had somewhere to hurry to. Maya Robinson stood under the narrow awning of Griffin's Diner, tying her apron tighter around her waist as the final customer left. The bell above the door jingled once, then silence returned, broken only by the rain and the low hum of the flickering streetlight outside. Maya was 24, black, and tired in a way sleep never fixed. Her sneakers were worn thin at the heels. Her uniform smelled of coffee, grease, and exhaustion. A long shift had ended, but another kind of shift, life's shift, was waiting outside. She reached for her bag behind the counter when something caught her eye. Across the street, through the blur of rain, a figure struggled forward. An old man. He moved slowly, painfully, bent under the storm like a branch about to snap. His coat was too thin for weather like this, soaked through, clinging to his frail frame. One hand clutched a cane that slipped on the wet pavement. The other pressed against his chest as if he were afraid his heart might escape. People passed him. One brushed his shoulder and muttered something sharp. Another pretended not to see him at all. Maya hesitated. She thought of the bus she needed to catch. The walk home. Her mother waiting, weak, sick, pretending she wasn't getting worse. She thought of how often kindness went unpaid. Then the old man stumbled. His cane skidded sideways. His knees buckled. He didn't fall completely, but the sound he made, a soft, broken gasp, cut through the rain like a cry. Maya didn't think anymore. She grabbed her jacket and ran. "Sir. Sir, are you okay?" The rain soaked Maya instantly as she reached him. She caught his arm just as his balance failed completely. He was lighter than she expected, almost fragile, as if the years had hollowed him out. I'm fine," he said, though his voice shook. "Just, need a moment." "You're not fine," Maya replied gently. "You're freezing." She guided him back under the diner's awning. He leaned heavily on her, breathing hard. Up close, she could see the lines on his face, not the soft kind that came from smiling, but the deep ones carved by worry and regret. "I didn't mean to be trouble," he said. "I just needed to get home." "Where's home?" He hesitated. "A few blocks." Maya glanced at the rain, then at his coat. "You'll never make it like this," she said. "Come inside. Just for a bit. Warm up." He looked at the diner, then at her, uncertainty clouding his pale blue eyes. "I don't have much money," he said quietly. Maya smiled, though it hurt. "I'm not asking for it." She helped him inside, ignoring the ache in her arms, the water pooling at her feet. The diner was officially closed, but the lights were still on. She sat him at a booth and grabbed a towel, gently patting his shoulders dry. "What's your name?" she asked. "Henry," he replied. "Henry Whitmore." "I'm Maya." She poured him hot coffee and brought a bowl of soup from the kitchen, leftover, destined for the trash anyway. His hands trembled as he lifted the spoon. "Thank you," he whispered. "Most people don't stop." Maya shrugged. "Someone should." He studied her face for a moment, as if trying to memorize it. "You didn't have to," he said again. Maya thought of her mother, lying in bed with pain she couldn't afford to treat properly. She thought of how strangers had once helped them, and how often they hadn't. "I know," she said softly. "But I wanted to." When the rain finally slowed, she walked him part of the way home. Making sure he was steady before leaving him at the entrance of a modest, aging apartment building. Before parting, he pressed something into her hand, a folded napkin. "Please," he said. "Just in case." She didn't open it until she reached the bus stop. Inside was a simple note. Thank you for seeing me. And beneath it, an address. The next morning began with pain. Maya woke to the sound of her mother coughing, a deep, rattling sound that seemed to shake the walls of their small apartment. She rushed to her side, offering water, rubbing her back, whispering reassurances she wasn't sure she believed. "I'm okay," her mother said, forcing a smile. "Just tired." But Maya knew better. Angela Robinson had been strong all her life, too strong. She had raised Maya alone after her husband's death, working 2 jobs, skipping meals, ignoring her own health until ignoring it was no longer an option. The diagnosis had come quietly but landed like a bomb: advanced kidney failure. Treatment was expensive. Time was short. Maya worked double shifts, picked up extra hours, cut every corner possible. Still, the bills piled up faster than hope. That morning, Angela's condition worsened. Her skin was clammy. Her breathing shallow. When she tried to sit up, pain twisted her face into something Maya had never seen before: fear. "Mama," Maya said, her voice shaking. "We're going to the hospital." Angela shook her head weakly. "We can't afford. We can't afford not to." At the emergency room, they waited. And waited. Doctors spoke in careful tones. Tests were ordered. A specialist was needed. Surgery was mentioned: urgent, complex, expensive. Maya felt the world closing in. She stepped into the hallway, clutching her phone, hands trembling. She had no one left to call. Then something slipped from her pocket. The napkin. She stared at the address written there, heart pounding. She didn't know why, but she knew she had to try. The address led Maya to a quiet neighborhood she had only seen on television. Tree-lined streets. Tall gates. Houses that looked like they had nothing to prove. She hesitated at the iron gate before ringing the bell. A moment passed. Then another. Just as she turned to leave, the gate opened. Henry Whitmore stood there, clean, composed, dressed in a tailored coat. He looked younger somehow, straighter, though the same eyes studied her with surprise and recognition. "Maya," he said softly. "I hoped you might come." She swallowed. "I didn't know where else to go." He listened without interrupting as she explained: her mother, the hospital, the costs, the fear. When she finished, tears streamed freely down her face. "I don't want charity," she said quickly. I don't know what I'm asking. I just remembered you." Henry nodded slowly. "You didn't see an old man in the rain," he said. "You saw a human being. That night reminded me of something I had forgotten." He turned and gestured for her to follow. Inside, the house was elegant but quiet. Photos lined the walls: Henry younger, Henry with people who looked important, Henry standing beside buildings and plaques. "You helped me," he continued. "Now let me help you." Within hours, Henry had made calls Maya didn't understand, to people she had never met. Arrangements were made. Specialists were contacted. A private room secured. Angela Robinson received the surgery she needed the very next day. And she survived. Weeks passed. Angela recovered slowly but steadily. For the first time in years, Maya allowed herself to breathe. Henry visited often, not as a benefactor, but as a friend. He listened to Angela's stories, laughed at Maya's sarcasm, and never once made them feel small. One afternoon, as sunlight filled the room, Maya finally asked the question that had been burning inside her. "Who are you really?" Henry smiled faintly. "A man who spent his life building wealth and forgot how to build connection," he said. Until a young waitress reminded him. He had once been a powerful financier. Successful. Respected. Alone. That night in the rain, he hadn't been testing anyone. He hadn't expected help. He had simply been tired. Maya looked at her hands, remembering how unsure she'd been. I almost didn't stop, she admitted. But you did, Henry replied. And that changed everything. Months later, Maya no longer worked at Griffin's diner. Henry helped her enroll in nursing school, quietly, respectfully. Angela regained her strength and began volunteering, helping others navigate the same system that had nearly failed her. And on rainy nights, when Maya walked home, she still watched the streets carefully. Because she understood something now. Kindness doesn't always return immediately. But it never disappears. Sometimes, it just waits, like the rain, until the right moment to fall back into your life.